Okay, so let's talk about flat roofs. In this video, we're going to cover what you need to know about flat roof systems, what are the pros and cons to them, what are the benefits, blah, 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 blah. We're going to get into it. Welcome to the studio. Rock and roll. Okay, so some of the basics. The basics that you have to know about flat roofs is there's no such thing as a flat roof. Flat roofs are actually low slope roofs, and that means that they have a 212 pitch or less, meaning that they need things like tapered insulation and TPO membranes instead of shingles. If you're doing a high slope roof, you can do things like shingles, and that's because they shed the water in one direction. And if you're doing a flat roof, because water wants to move in all sorts of different directions, you have to use TPO or EPDM or any of the other membranes that we can use in the industry. Think of it like you're building a big shower pan that goes on top of your house. So some of the pros and cons associated with flat roofs, let's just go over the cons real quick. The first con is that there is an additional expense to flat roofs. If you think about just the TPO or the membranes itself that are the finishes on top of the flat roofs, those are much more expensive than shingles. In addition to that, you're going to have things like tapered insulation, you're going to have things like spray foam insulation that are going to be needed in order to pull the system off. Those, of course, also have an additional cost to them. But you do get some cost back when you think of the roof structure itself. If you think about a traditional roof, it's going to have lots of angles, and it's going to be a big pile of wood that you're not going to have to build when it comes to a flat roof. So when you're out there and you're looking at the different costs, it's important to kind of compare the different systems and all the things that go into each one, because they are very, very different. Another downside to a flat roof is going to be the attic space or the lack of. Modern homes are, of course, notorious for the lack of storage. If you've got big storage needs, you're going to need to incorporate that into the floor plan with a storage room of some kind. But let's get into some of the benefits of a flat roof. One of the biggest benefits is that they are very simple. They are simpler to build than traditional roofs. They're simpler to build because there's not all these complicated cuts, because there's not all these complicated shapes. If you think of a traditional roof, you're going to have lots of valleys and lots of hips and lots of ridges that require all these complicated cuts. With a flat roof, you don't need any of that stuff. So this is one of the reasons why you see them on commercial projects. If you've got a large roof, the larger the roof, the more efficient it's going to be to build flat. Another thing that's a big benefit for flat roofs is the energy efficiency. Flat roofs are typically much more energy efficient than traditional roofs because they use tapered insulation that sits on top of the roof sheathing, and this eliminates the thermal bridging that takes place on more traditional roofs. Also, you're getting into spray foams. If you're doing a flat roof, you're going to need spray foam insulation. This is because there's not an attic space and there's typically not ventilation that goes into a flat roof. The spray foam is going to need to be sprayed on the underside of the roof sheathing, but what this does is it seals up the roof and it allows it to have less air exchanges, making it, of course, more energy efficient than a traditional roof. Jumping into roof deck systems, I get a lot of questions about roof deck systems with folks that are wanting to occupy the roof, and there are additional systems that go on top of the TPO in order to make this happen. The reason why that is because on a low slope roof, you have a quarter 12, usually a quarter 12 per inch of slope. And if you want to occupy the roof, you're going to want that roof to be level. The way they level it is with a number of different systems. But the first two the two I just want to cover with you is the pedestal system and the sleeper system. A pedestal system is essentially these round circles it's essentially these round tubes that sit on top of the TPO, and they allow it to be adjusted, that allow it to be adjustable, and you put the roof finish, whether it be decking or pavers or whatever, you put them on top of the pedestal itself. The other type is you're using a sleeper system, and that's essentially pressure treated lumber that is cut to counteract the slope, and then you put the decking or finish system on top of that. An important thing to know is that you're going to need what they call a cover board underneath the TPO system. This is an additional expense that goes above the tapered insulation and below the membrane, and this prevents the pedestal or the sleeper from punching through the membrane, causing water issues. I've got a lot more information on my website. I've got a blog post that is about this specific thing. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. I am always available and always open to helping folks do their project. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you have a great day.